It's a pleasure to be here today and to participate and speak to Water Science Policy Forum. I think it's a great idea when graduates and students come together, work, show their initiative to advance the important water issues. Today I want to take you on a trip to somewhere far away, to Kyrgyzstan in Central Asia, to address some of these same water issues in a very different context. My talk's titled Frog in a Bucket, and we'll go through some slides here to get to the point of the frog test for water quality. So I'm starting here with a picture of the road that we take to get to the main mine, Alabuka, in southwestern Kyrgyzstan. You'll notice the dramatic geography. Kyrgyzstan is the highest country in the world, average elevation, 3,000 meters, and you see the river coming down to the left that goes to villages, farms, livestock, and to a reservoir then that feeds the people of Alabuka, the regional district town. So here's a map of Kyrgyzstan, placed in ex-Soviet Central Asia, one of the 5 stans. So it's a unusual place, very scenic, nice people. I certainly recommend you go there. And then you can have much empathy, sympathy, and understanding of their water issues. So I look at mining often and the impact on the environment, and we have 2 big sites here. Kumtor Gold Mine, it's a Canadian company that's responsible for 10% of the economy of the country, so it's very important. It's over 4,000 meters, and basically the company cuts away at this glacier in order to access the gold and the minerals in the ground. So very dramatic, and of course it'll affect water resources and supply in the future. The other site is Sultan Sari, where our team was out there last July in 2019. Then in August, the local people were mad at the mine. Their complaints are about water, about environment, about pasture, and lack of jobs. So many disagreements continued with the mine over some years. They complained to the government, nothing happened. What they did then is storm the mine, tear down the walls. The workers, the Chinese workers, were evacuated, and what appeared to be like a disaster internationally actually was quite successful because the people closed the mine, the Chinese left, and the water was no longer being polluted. So very dramatic, and what this did is teach Kyrgyz that if you protest, then you get results. It's a poor country. You see here the horse bringing the fodder for the animals for the winter, low development levels, and the other picture here we have very dramatic snow on the roads. Very hard to travel and to get to the resources, but also to get to towns and services. So here we are on our road. We're going to make a left there, follow the dirt track, and end up at Full Gold Mine. It's a Chinese mega investment. It's supposed to be over $100 million. And it's hidden behind a hill, so the people don't really know what's going on. Most of the workers are Chinese, so there's not a local source of information. And of course, at the bottom of the hill is the river. As you can imagine, the water comes in the river, is processed, goes back out, and the local residents claim that it's unprocessed when it goes in the water. And then downstream, it's what they drink, their animals drink, and what irrigates the fields and vegetable farms. So it's a dramatic setting, hidden in the mountains. If we go further downstream from the big mine, we have some strip mining that's been done by smaller companies. That they come in, they bulldoze the landscape, process the sediments, and disappear. So, of course, the fear, and probably justifiable, is that everything, the chemicals, etc., wash into the river. That brings us here to the frog in the bucket. It's an interesting test, and how it's described is that the villagers, they go to the reservoir, they get a bucket of water, they put a frog in, and within 15 minutes, the frog dies. This is something they've repeated. Many different people told me about this infamous test. I didn't see it myself. It wasn't the right time, apparently, but they're convinced that the frogs die because of the pollution in the river. Now, the issue with this, or the challenge, is that the politicians are aware of it, but don't believe it. If you take it to the central government, of course, they're not going to believe it. The mine staff also gives no credence to it. If the people push, there's pushback from the powers that be, the police and the mine staff. So the people know, the people are convinced, but how do you convince another audience? I, as an outsider, suggested water quality test strips for very little money. You could test the quality. The villagers could test the quality once a day or whatever regime they wanted and see if it's good or bad. But as they explained to me, that doesn't work, because if it's bad, no one will believe them, and they might even encounter some opposition or even violence, so they don't want to do that. And if it's good, the villagers and the townspeople will not believe it. So they're in a conundrum where there's not a way to resolve the issue of how to test for water quality and what to believe is actually the true results, pollution levels. We may think that that's resolvable. It's become an intractable issue in the country, and truly the country has other issues even greater. As they look at this, though, there are international standards, the IFC, the EITI, Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, that try and address this. But as I mentioned, the Kyrgyz politics is very volatile. In October of this year, the president resigned and an ex-convict took his place. How that happened is quite incredible, but that just tells you there's weak institutional governance in the country, and they're not really able to deal with smaller issues like water pollution, even if the frog in the bucket dies. So I want to just say more research is needed, and that's where you come in. There's many things people can do. I encourage you to go out to Central Asia. My time with the University of Central Asia has been very productive. And one of your graduates, Luke Renfield Shaw, actually went out there to teach for a semester. So there's much you can do. We can read about it in this paper, but more important is trying to communicate some of your skills and your knowledge to the local communities. All the best with your forum.